Hello everyone. In this lesson, we will learn about archives. So for example, if someone wanted to view only blog posts from a certain category, or by a certain author, or from a certain date. Let me show you what I'm referring to. So if I go up in the address bar and visit /blog, this screen has multiple blog posts, but you'll notice that this first post is categorized in the awards category. And if I click on that category link, up in the address bar, we can see that that takes me to /category/awards. So this is an archive screen, meaning it will only show posts from that one category. We would call this a category archive. Or for another example, if I click on this author link, now up in the address bar, that takes us to /author/Brad. So this URL and this screen is an example of an author archive. Now at the moment, these author and category archive screens are being powered by index.php of our theme folder. But really, at the end of the day, that's not the job of the index file. Index.php is really just supposed to be a generic fallback, last line of defense insurance policy. Index is never WordPress's first choice. WordPress would rather use an appropriate theme file depending on the URL you're visiting. In this case, the file would be archive.php. So right now, let's go ahead and create an archive.php file and use it to set up relevant archive title headlines here, like authored by Brad or category awards, instead of this generic welcome to our blog text. So in your text editor, within our theme folder, let's create a brand new file, and let's name this new file archive.php. Okay, so we have an empty archive.php file, and if we refresh an archive screen, I'm on the author archive for the Brad user, you can see that the screen is completely blank. And if I say hello world in my template, that's all we see for that screen. So in order to get this template up and running, why don't we just copy and paste the entire contents of index.php? So I'm going to jump into index, highlight everything on the page and copy it into my clipboard, and then back in archive.php, paste that in. And then if I scroll up to the very top, let's begin by focusing on this heading level 1 that reads, Welcome to our blog. So on this archive template, we don't want this text here to be hard-coded. So let's delete that message, and instead let's use PHP to output a dynamic title. Now we're going to want different titles depending on whether we're on a category archive or an author archive or a date archive. So one way we can handle this would be to drop into PHP, and we could say if, and then our condition goes within the parentheses. We could say if, and then we can call a function named isCategory, and this function will return true if you are on a category archive screen. Otherwise, it will return false. So then after the if condition, we could open up curly brackets, drop down. So if this evaluates to true, we could just echo out a message that says, category name will go here. And we can fill that in just a moment for now, but this will be a nice placeholder. And then right after this closing curly bracket for the if statement, let's just write another if statement. So you could type here, or you could drop down to a new line, and let's say if, parentheses, we can say if this is an author archive. So you just say is author, and this function will return true if you're on an author archive screen. So if that's the case, curly brackets, let's just echo out a message that says author name will go here. And we can fill that in with real data in just a moment. But if we save this and refresh, cool, I'm on an author archive URL, so we see author name will go here. But if I click on this awards category link, I'm on a category archive, and now I see category name will go here. Cool, so now we just need to hollow out these placeholders with the actual category name and the actual author name. So within this first if statement, within the curly brackets, let's delete this echo line. And to get the dynamic name of the category that you're currently viewing, we can call a function named single cat, as in category, title. And we do not need to echo it. WordPress will handle outputting it for us. So if we save that and refresh, perfect. So we are on the awards category archive. So this title makes sense. And if I click on the author name to go to the author archive, let's work on that one next. So instead of echoing out the author will go here, let's delete that line. And we can just call a WordPress function named the author. Cool, but maybe you don't just want the nickname. Maybe you want to preface it by saying posts by Brad. Well, back in our code, we could do just that. So right before we call that the author function, we could echo out our own text that reads posts by, and then a space. Then we could include a semicolon, and then call this author function. So if I save that, now we see posts by Brad. Cool, so you can use that strategy to phrase the archive titles however you see fit. So that takes care of category and author archives, but what about date-based archives? Let me show you an example of a date archive. So if I click on one of the individual blog posts to go to the single view, up in the address bar, you can see it begins with the year, and then the month, and then the day, and then finally the slug name for that particular post. However, you can delete the slug from the end of the URL, and this is a day-based archive, right? This screen will show you all of the blog posts from the 8th of June. Or you could even delete the 08, and then this would be a month-based archive. This would show you all posts from June. And obviously, if you get rid of the month, this would be a year-based archive that only shows posts from 2017. Now, as you can imagine, setting up different if statements for every one of those situations could be exhausting, right? Setting up an if statement for the year check, and then another one for the month check, and another if statement for the day check. That could get really old really quickly, and it would result in a ton of work. Well, luckily for us, towards the very end of 2014, WordPress introduced a new function that can save us a ton of work when it comes to archive titles. So check this out. I know this is sort of undoing everything we've been working on for the last 3 to 4 minutes, but let's actually hollow out this heading level 1. So let's delete all of this PHP that we just wrote. So now I'm back to just an empty heading level 1. And in between the H1 tags, let's drop into PHP. And let's call a WordPress function that is only a few years old. It's named the archive title. And that's it. This one function will take care of everything for us. So if I save that, I'm on a year-based archive and it has the appropriate title. If I go back to the month archive, we're in business. Go back to the day archive, perfect. If I click on awards to go to a category archive, makes sense. And if I click on Brad to go to an author archive, looking good. So it's up to you. If you want to have fine-grained control over the exact phrasing of your titles, you can set up your own if statements like we were doing a few minutes ago. Or if good is good enough, I encourage you to just use this the archive title function and call it a day. Okay, now let's change gears and let's focus on this subtitle, right? We probably don't want to output keep up with our latest news on every single archive screen. So let's delete that, and within that paragraph tag, let's drop into PHP, and let's call the brother or sister to this function, which is named the archive description. Now, if I save this, at first glance, you might think that it does nothing, right? Because we don't see any text here. But what's really going on is because we are on an author archive screen, that new description function is trying to pull in the biography text for this current author. So try this out with me. If you jump into your WordPress admin and hover over users in the sidebar, go ahead and click your profile. And if you scroll down to the bottom of this page, you'll notice a field here named biographical info. Now whatever you type here will be considered the description for your author archive screen. So if I just say testing hello world 123 as my biography and then click update, Well, that will show up as the description. Cool. Now let's work on the description text for category archives. So if I click on Awards to go to the Awards category archive, we notice that there's no description text. And that's because I never assigned a description for the category. Let me show you what I mean. Back in the WordPress admin, if you hover over Posts towards the top of your sidebar, then you can click on Categories. Now you might have all sorts of categories, but in my case, I'm going to click on the Awards category here. And here we see a field named Description. So I can say, we love to blog about our awards. And save that or update it. And there we see it. Now that's going to bring this lesson on archives to a close. But bigger picture, we are now more or less done with our blog section. Now we just need to integrate our blog with our custom homepage. So for example, if I click this logo in the top left header to go back to the homepage, in this beige column here, you'll notice that we need to dynamically pull in the 2 most recent blog posts. Now these examples that we see here, we were voted best school and professors in the national spotlight, those are not real blog posts. That's just hard-coded fake HTML. In order to actually pull in the real dynamic 2 most recent blog posts, we are going to need to learn about something called custom queries. And that's exactly what we're going to cover in our next lesson. I know that personally, for me, when I first learned about custom queries, it was an aha moment for me in terms of learning WordPress. Once you understand custom queries, you'll go from, I kind of understand how WordPress works, to, I can make WordPress do whatever I need it to do. It's a really fun leap to make in your understanding, and I'm going to do everything I can to get you there. Let's keep things rolling, and I will see you in the next lesson.